ओके जल्दी से प्लीज फाइंड अ पार्टनर, कोई भी आपके राइट लेफ्ट जो भी है, एक जल्दी से पार्टनर ढूंढ लीजिए और उनके साइड पे खड़े हो जाइए, पार्टनर के साइड पे खड़े हो जाइए, जल्दी जल्दी, लेट्स गो, वी हैव टू बी वेरी क्विक विद टाइम। एवरीबॉडी हैज अ पार्टनर, यस यू हैव अ पार्टनर, वेरी गुड, प्लीज फेस फ्रंट। ओहो, यहाँ तो ये जो पूरा भाईचारा चल रहा है, वेरी नाइस, ब्यूटीफुल, आई लव द एनर्जी ओवर हियर, वेरी नाइस। दो लोग पार्टनर बनेंगे, दो, यहाँ 3 4 5 6, two people, 1 2 two people, okay, the person on the left, so okay everybody, let's do this, सब राइट की तरफ फेस करिए, हाँ, so you should be behind your partner, सबने राइट की तरफ फेस करिए, बी बिहाइंड योर पार्टनर, हाँ जी, जैसे अगर दो लोग खड़े हैं तो टर्न करिए और मेरा पार्टनर मेरे आगे है, हाँ, परफेक्ट। नाउ द पर्सन हु इज बिहाइंड पुट योर हैंड्स अप, place it on the shoulders of your partner, give them a massage, हाँ, अरे I'm serious, give them a massage, अच्छे से अच्छी वाली मसाज, बढ़िया से, फुल मतलब शोल्डर, हाथ, अरे वो हेड मसाज शुरू हो गया, नहीं हेड, शोल्डर अच्छे से, प्रेस इट, ओके, वेरी गुड, फेस फ्रंट, हुआ नहीं, अरे रिटर्न भी तो करेंगे जिसने करी है। Now everybody move to the other side, face the other side, very good, hands on your partner के shoulder, give a nice massage, इतनी कंजूसी मत करिए, मसाज, come on, हो गई refreshed, everybody shake your hands and clap your hands, okay, please have a seat. Joe, I have to say the first set of people did it very nicely, okay, so first is the I am attending contest, let's spin the wheel right over here and let's see who is the lucky winner of Apple AirPods.
Awesome, let's see.
Arey, Manish Sahu to is very lucky today.
Manish Sahu, awesome, congratulations, very nice.
Please join us on stage.
He's my neighbor, so I can personally get it delivered.
हाँ,
right?
तो आपकी तो delivery एकदम ही immediately पहुंच जाएगी, पक्की है.
Abhi, it is just virtual, right?
You both can have a picture. या तो आप बहुत ही अच्छी सीट पे बैठे हो, या तो आज आपने सुबह बहुत कुछ अच्छा डीड किया है, something, it's a lucky day today. Great, thank you so much and congratulations to you. Thank you. Okay, next is the Wheel of Fortune. जो अंदर आ चुका है, उनका नाम valid है, किसी का नाम आया जो यहाँ पर नहीं है, we'll move to the next name. All right, let's spin the wheel. हाँ जी, तो यहाँ जी ये पुराने आ रहे हैं सर, आ रहे हैं स्क्रीन पे, आ रहे हैं अभी नाम। सॉरी, मेरे पास रिमोट कंट्रोल नहीं है, I'm so sorry, just give us a few seconds. Okay, ये रहे सारे नाम जो पहुंच गए हैं हमारे व्हील में, and I will take a closer look and sir will help me to find out the name. Let's spin the wheel. I think आप सबके हैं. Okay. केशव दुबल, oh lovely. क्या बात है, इनकी बहुत फैन फॉलोइंग है, बहुत शोर मचा. Please join us on stage and congratulations to you. Can we have the prize please? आ जाओ, come.
Congratulations.
Thank you, thanks.
Congratulations to you. एक बार जरा जोरदार तालियां बजा देते हैं. Let's congratulate the lucky winner. Thank you so much. Thank you. आप आ ही गए हैं स्टेज पर. But let me. Our next topic is securing, simplifying, and transforming your business with Zero Trust and AI. Our next guest speaker from Zscaler will be taking us through an overview of how Zero Trust and AI can be leveraged to enhance security, simplify operations, and drive business transformation, offering practical steps and real-world examples to illustrate Zscaler's impact with customers. Ladies and gentlemen, let's please give a huge round of applause to Mr. Abhay Kumar Sarkar, Regional Vice President, Sales, Zscaler. Over to you, sir.
Good evening, everybody. How has been the afternoon today? Everybody back? All excited? Okay. So I promise I'll try and keep it short and most importantly, keep it relevant to businesses, right? Because all of you are business leaders, while all of you have kind of really envisioned a lot of transformation journeys, but I'll try and keep it to a context which is more business-centric. So many of you would have already heard about Zscaler. So our founder and CEO, Jay, in 2008, he envisioned how 5G, cloud transformation, and work from anywhere would really disrupt and transform the way organizations execute businesses, right? That prompted him to think about Zscaler. Today, with almost 160 data centers across the globe, we are helping organizations transform their businesses and more importantly, helping organizations bring in more efficiency while elevating the security posture. If you look at something which you're very proud of is the Net Promoter Score, which you see 70. The reason why we are proud of that is most other SaaS providers in the industry are almost half of that. And many of you would ask me, why is it 70? What are you doing differently? The reason the score is the way it is, when I speak to a lot of customers, they really appreciate the value that we are bringing to the table. Yes, security is important, but more importantly, how am I helping businesses become successful? How am I helping organizations to transform towards your transformation journey? And that's what customers love. Just to give you a perspective, one of the leading private sector banks in India adopted our platform not for cybersecurity. Yes, we do that. But if you think about, they wanted to accelerate to open about 200 branches in just 3 months' time. That's the challenge that they were dealing. And that's where we put our hands up. We can help you do that. They were also going through a big merger and acquisition, and we could say that we can help you accelerate those integrations. And as a result of which, that will transform in terms of their ability to cross-sell, upsell to each of their customers and hence drive revenue. So the reasons why they looked at Zscaler was completely business, and that's the value that we are driving. If you look at the IT services industry, most GSIs or SIs work with customers, and all of you will be familiar with ODCs, how you connect to your customers, because majority of your employees are connecting to customer environments and doing projects. And for you, those are the assets along with the technology which is enabling you to connect. Now, traditionally, organizations have built expensive networking capability to be able to do that. With COVID, a lot of things changed. People moved out of offices. Then how do you still connect in a safe and secure way to customers without compromising any of the security capabilities? So we are enabling some of the leading IT services industry across the country to, in a very safe and secure way, connect to your customers without spending money in expensive network and security. That's a little bit brief in terms of what we do. Now, as a virtue of all of this, what have we gained? We have been in this leadership position for the last decade plus. And today, almost more than 50% of the Fortune 500 companies are with Zscaler. And that has enabled us to build the largest security cloud on this planet. We process almost 400 plus billion transactions daily. That's 20 times the searches of Google that all of us are doing across the globe. That's the quantum of data that we are processing. Now, moving all of you, many of you are CISOs here, and when I meet a lot of you across the industry, these are the 4 things that I consistently hear. Am I compliant in line with the regulatory compliances and how is my governance? How do I manage all of that, right? How do I ensure that I don't minimize businesses while I continue to improve the security posture? Third, every business wants to be agile. Agility is the way to go, right? How do I ensure that while I do security, I don't hold the business back? Am I agile? Am I transforming or enabling the business to drive success? And last but not the least, whatever investments that I have done, how efficient is it? Is it really helping me, right? And is my posture consistently improving? Those are the challenges which I hear. There are underlying aspects. All of us are investing in different point solutions because security is not just one. You build layers, right? When you start building layers over the years, you start having multiple point solutions to do it, right? Because that's how you keep building. Now the challenge is, while you've done that across the last decade or so, there are today, when I looked at some of the research data, we saw that there are 50 plus point solutions, and still organizations are getting breached. So the thought came, how do you simplify that? Then comes, if you have multiple point solutions, imagine the complexity of managing all of them. Imagine the challenges. All of us in India see attrition being pretty high across the industry. How do you manage the people who are managing those point solutions to essentially drive value, right? And last but not the least, if you look at the transformation, which is what I started with, earlier days, applications used to reside in your data center. People used to work from offices. Today, applications have moved to the cloud. Users have started working from anywhere, from any device, and that kind of disrupts the way what you did security, which is how we refer to as a castle and moat. You had a castle, which is where your applications were, all the crown jewels, and you protected that. Now, if your applications have gone out, your users have moved out of office, how do you still maintain that, right? So that's the legacy infrastructure. If you look at this particular architecture, the left-hand side is how any of the traditional architectures are, which means the network is a very critical layer which enables you to connect users, applications, sites in a secure way. So network is the layer which is enabling this connections to happen. Now what's the problem with that? It was wonderful when this architecture was built. All of you would have kind of worked on this, but the challenge is, if you look at it, it's very complex. Multiple different islands, multiple crisscross happening, and everything is, once somebody comes in here, it's a highway. There is no stopping. So it's complex. Lateral threat, you can't stop with this architecture, and most importantly, imagine with people working from anywhere, the attack surface has significantly grown. Instead, if you start looking at the right-hand side, which is the architecture that we are championing, is the zero trust architecture. In this, it's simple, agile. It enables any of the source to connect to the destination, but goes through the exchange, which in this case is Zscaler Zero Trust Exchange. Now, what this does is, essentially, it's transforming your IP-based connectivity and policies to identity-based policies. The moment you start doing that, network becomes irrelevant, right? Because you're not worried about how that information is growing, where it is flowing. You're just concerned about who is accessing what destination with whatever governance policies that you have set up. That makes it very, very simple, and this enables you to drive transformation. As you grow businesses, if this is the architecture, it looks a lot more simple. Everything goes through zero trust, which means every time I check for context. Here, once anybody gets in, it's a highway, anybody can move anywhere. Moving forward, what's the approach which is written? I think if you look at the industry, threats are evolving. Day by day, the number of threats, attack vectors are growing, especially in developing countries like India. If you read any cybersecurity report, you will see that. India is one of the highest attack countries in the world. And attacks are becoming sophisticated. Now, for you to be able to detect and act, you need AI capabilities to be able to detect and take action. In the first slide, I spoke about 400 billion plus transactions. Now, how do I do it? Because if I'm processing that many signals on a daily basis, and that's growing pretty rapidly, I have the ability to kind of quickly catch some of those signals and apply AI algorithms to help you detect and then take action. Once you take action, today, people are also limitation, right? Because you have sent to somebody, if it's people dependent, it also becomes a problem, because the moment you've identified a threat, you need to go address it. And if people come in, that may delay the process. What we try to do is to bring in automation. If I have detected a threat using sophisticated AI capabilities, can I automate that so that I'm able to detect and take action? Last but not the least, if I have to manage such sophisticated threat and constantly keep doing it, Can I do with my traditional architecture of servers or endpoint or devices how people have done it? Answer is no, because your devices and hardware don't have those capabilities to apply those. We are a multi-tenanted cloud solution across 160 data centers and growing. We are able to do that because we have built those data fabric, and I'll speak about that little bit more in the following slide. If you now look at this architecture, essentially what are we doing? I am just an exchange which is connecting any source to a destination. Source could be a user, device, workloads, your IoT, OT device for people in the manufacturing industry, or even business to business. There are third-party integrations, there are vendor partners, or different capabilities. In the manufacturing industry, there are people who manage OT environments who are not part of your organization, but they're critical for you to run production. So I am enabling a secure connectivity between any source to destination. Doesn't matter what the source is, doesn't matter what the destination. It could be internet, it could be SaaS apps, it could be your private applications hosted in your data center or on the public cloud. That's what we're trying to simplify. Now, as a result of this, what is the business benefit? I spoke about 50 different products on an average. We simplify all of that. We don't need multiple different point solutions. So managing, maintaining becomes a lot more easier. These are just some indicative examples that we have given, but there are a lot more things that we can eliminate or reduce. Now, most importantly, you will also wonder, okay, this is great, but how do I bring in a lot of automation? I spoke about automation, right? Imagine if you've identified a threat, can I integrate that with ServiceNow or could be any other ITSM solution to build in automation to go do something? Or if, let's say, there's a site which somebody has gone which is prohibited, but for some reason you have blocked it as an organization, but for that individual, you need to do exception. Now, will you make it manual, or you raise it, you call somebody, you write emails, and maybe time is lost because I spoke about agility. Imagine a world where I can bring in automation, where information flows from my system to another ITSM tool, you automate the process, it gets approved in the workflow, and the user is up and running because you have addressed it. You're managing security, but you're also driving business agility. That's what is very, very critical when I say secure communication across administrator. There are APIs which we can integrate third parties with. Now, if you look at, I spoke about those multiple signals that we process. That's what I am processing. There are a lot of other signals available with a lot of multiple other solutions in the industry, right? Can I get context from your ERP? Can I get context from your other business applications, right? If I apply that, my knowledge of all the signals that I'm processing combined with the business context, what I'm able to do is, can I predict a breach? Instead of you worrying, where will I get breached? I have to cover. I will tell you with my data fabric, what is the probability of your organization getting breached? And more importantly, also tell you what's your score against peers and what should you go fix. So I'm telling you a problem, I'm also giving you a solution. And that's dependent on a lot of business context. Same principles if I apply to vulnerability management. Today, most of you would have invested in a SIEM solution. All of those logs flow into it, and somebody who's managing your SOC will be processing that. But today, if I speak to a lot of CISOs, and I ask them, do you know what is most important? Maybe there's a business critical server where they have found a business vulnerability or something which is higher, but it's not of importance. How do you prioritize? And do you have visibility? Most CISOs say, I don't know. Can you help me with that? This particular capability of vulnerability management, what I'm trying to do is I'm applying my signals with the business context to give you a prioritization so that you can go act on what is most important. Those are some of the enhancements. Copilot, I'm sure Microsoft is talking about a lot of copilots. Productivity Copilot, we have coming up with a security Copilot. If you go ask the system, which are the vulnerabilities I should go address first, system will tell you. Just like the way you have done a lot of chatbots and a lot of innovation that we are driving, we can do that. Similarly, imagine if you have a performance issue in a call that you're doing on Teams. You can go ask, what's my issue? It can tell you you're far away from a router, or your processing of the RAM or the processor, there is an issue. So self-service capabilities and healing capabilities, I am able to process because every information is flowing through me from the source to a destination. Lastly, what is very important today across the industry, everybody's trying to get more value out of it. Your CFOs are asking you, you invested in something, tell me what's the ROI. If you want to invest in something new, tell me where else do you save cost. The solution on Business Insights, because all the traffic is flowing through me, I also have visibility to tell you, okay, Mr. Customer, you have 30,000 licenses of Office 365 E5, but only about 80% of users are using it. 20% you're not even using it. People are not even logging into it. Can you optimize that and invest in something which is more critical? Similarly for Salesforce, you may be using Salesforce. Can I help you get more insights on the business around software usage so that you find areas which you can reinvest in something which is more critical? Those are just some of the examples, but the power is the data fabric can enable me to drive a lot of insights and give you a lot of those data. Lastly, I spoke about simplification. In the network layer, I spoke about simplification across how you conduct businesses. Very, very important is data protection. With the DPDP bill coming up, it's also becoming very relevant for India. We have GDPR in Europe, but that's becoming real in India as well. Now, the challenges with most other data protection solutions is they're all disintegrated. Everything is a separate point solution for each of the channels. Could be web, could be email, could be different channels, your SaaS solutions. Now, the challenge is if you don't correlate, you can't go take action. Can you do auto classification using my AI ML capabilities? Answer is point solutions, you can't do that. Today, with the power of the platform, I am able to do classification once using AI and ML capabilities, give you a holistic view for data protection across all of the channels in a single view. And because I am in line, because every traffic from source to destination is flowing through me, I can cover and have visibility and enable you to take action. The most common scenario which people got really excited is when I go speak to CISOs like you and I ask them, do you know how many SaaS applications are integrated with your Office 365? Being Office 365 being a very commonly used productivity solution. They say, no, I don't know. Because example, Grammarly. I don't know, how many of you heard of Grammarly? Any of you use it? Okay, I see a few hands. It's a very commonly used application, which essentially when you type emails, it checks, is it good, bad? Now you've gone and integrated that with your productivity suite. There are solutions of integrating calendar. Now some of those applications when you integrate, which are third-party SaaS, not managed by, do you have visibility as IT and security? What are the applications my organization is using? How many of them are secure? We wouldn't even know. Because in this case, I'm processing all of the traffic, I can give you visibility, which is in simple terms we call shadow IT, and more importantly, give you visibility of third-party integrations with your other SaaS solutions with our product, which is immense because you don't even know those channels of what data is going away. In simple terms, we are essentially enabling you to simplify your data protection across all channels, do classification using AI and ML only once, and most importantly, give you a holistic view for you to be able to go apply policies by user. Lastly, I spoke about value that we drive to the business. This is just an example of an IT services organization where by investing in Zscaler, they were able to save almost $7.5 million worth of money, which they were investing in multiple other point solutions. They were able to simplify the way they connect to their customers. I spoke about virtual ODC. ODCs are the thing which is there in your physical environment, restricted, separate LANs, all of those, you build those networks separately. But imagine a world, it doesn't matter where you are, doesn't matter which room you're sitting. It's a flat network because network is just a medium for me. We were able to bring down significantly their cost and most importantly, bring down the ODC build-up time by 60%, which essentially gives you money on the table because the faster you're able to go live, the more money that you earn because your charging or revenue model is per hour basis. And that's the value in addition to obviously the security posture, so on and so forth. If you look at, this is another example of a leading steel manufacturing organization in India. They are dependent on a lot of their heavy infrastructure of OT environments. They are manufacturing blast furnace, multiple other systems. And there are people who are managing those OT environment. Traditionally in manufacturing world, people have investing in Industry 4.0 with IoT, OT, but it's more importantly, how do you merge that? We were able to do that because the people who connect third party who are not within your network, you're not able to connect. So that's in summary of what we do. There is a lot more, but with the limited time, we just thought we'll give you a glimpse and happy to take any questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Abhay, for joining us and for that wonderful session that you conducted for us. Very quickly, before we move on to our next session, we again have the quiz round. So quickly, 2 questions on the screen. Let's get ready. You can keep your phones ready for the barcode. You can scan it. And jaldi se, I will move aside. Please request on stage Mr. Akshay Garg and Mr. Maheshwaran S., Country Manager, India. Veronis, can we please have you both on stage? Both these wonderful gentlemen joining us on stage for the next session. Over to both of you. Thank you. Can you please have a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen?
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Good evening. Great. So we first want to thank Elite CISO for giving us this opportunity. And today's topic probably is one of the most commonly discussed topic in generally IT or security community, I would say, is how to embrace AI, which all aspects that they should consider while they're embracing AI, and how can they do it securely, right? So me and Akshay would be jointly going through how we think customers should be approaching GenAI when securely, and address any security or privacy risk that probably might introduce for organizations. In Copilot, it's just putting a prompt, are there files with any credentials, right? So Copilot is going and fetching this from various data stores with which it can connect. It tells there are a lot of credentials, and the user is saying, can you please summarize the authentication parameters found in it? It does that, and very easy for a user to get a list of credentials that he wants to, based on the access that he has on data stores that Copilot is going and fetching it for him. It's given this for him. Right? So now let's take another example. So you got to move the slides, I think. There's one more video, 3 videos actually. Actually, you just be there. Yeah. So now the user is actually going and asking for this. Please look for documents on new employees and give me a table of data there. The intent is to just to know about who are the new employees. But it goes and fetches various data that about new employees, puts it on a file for the user to see, and there you could see there are some sensitive information like salaries, and then the user says what bonuses can be found out, and even that is getting displayed, right? So one of the problems, I mean, when you look at AI, GenAI, it's actually a data problem. If organizations do not understand how data is exposed and have a least access around data, then probably you would get incidents like this. And we do these AI readiness assessments for customers. We do something called prompt engineering, where we go and put some prompts to go and see whether a user is able to fetch some sensitive information or not. So it's very critical for organizations when they embrace AI, understand how access is managed around data. So now, how many of you have heard about Bing for Work or Bing Enterprise Search? Every Copilot at least, actually hold the video. Copilot, at least, organizations are doing a pilot, they're looking at it for specific users. But Bing for Search or Bing Enterprise Search is available with every E3 user. And this is from my colleague's test machine. Play the video. So he's going to bing.com, clicks on the work tab there. You can see a work tab there. So that's with every E3 licensed user, this is enabled by default, right? So he clicks on work, and here you can go and do the search that you want. And again, based on the search prompt that the user is putting in, it's like a search query in any search engine. It goes and fetches data that the user can access on data stores that Bing is referring to, and displays all the details about credit cards, like say Aadhaar cards, like this, right? So again, this is a huge concern. AI is a problem, but organizations are doing a pilot, and they're not going to use tools like Copilot for all users, at least initially. But this is there with every user, and if data access is not managed, organizations can create a lot of privacy and security risk for themselves. And the user is the first they get access to sensitive information by mistake, accidentally. And then they become more curious and start putting for prompts to get information that they want. And I will give you some instances of information that normally we see getting exposed in organizations. I think you can move back to the slide mode. Yeah, thank you. So this is a report from Microsoft, Cloud Permissions Report. And you can see, I mean, the key things that I wanted to mention here is, I talked about the access being the problem. Microsoft acknowledges that 99% of user permissions, typically in SaaS applications and cloud applications, are unused, stale access permissions, right? Organizations are worried about getting users access to the application, zero trust. But when it comes to data, organizations do not have a lot of visibility on whether only right people have access to information, what sort of permissions is typically required for them to access it. And one of the things that I wanted to mention is the workload identities are increasing significantly, and it's 10:1. So organizations are bothered about user identities. How are they managing actually workload identities? What data can it access? How are they managing authentication? It's a big gap that we see when we perform assessments. And for a 10,000 plus user organization, and this is based on we performing close to over 100 plus assessments in the last 2 years, we think, and this is specific to South Asia, on day one, when an employee joins a 10,000 plus user organization, that person gets access to at least 18.2 million files, just because of the way access is being provisioned. And this, we call it as AI blast radius. Because when they embrace GenAI, any user would now get access to all these files because of the way access is managed for them. So organizations, we think it's very critical before embracing GenAI to know what their blast radius is, and what we define as blast radius, the amount of data that could be at risk for organizations if any user's credentials get compromised. And some other information that's there, I mean, moving forward, sorry Akshay. Stale files, right? So another one, 40 to 60% of information is stale. Nobody is accessing that data, but still organizations give access to people and applications for that data. And this introduces risk from an AI perspective, because users are not accessing it, but just because they have got permissions to access data, the AI tool will also go and access a lot of stale data and probably put a lot of sensitive information into the LLM. Yeah, Akshay.
Yeah. So Mahesh has talked about the important risks which GenAI generally poses into the organizations today. But we also need to understand what are the key elements which determine that blast radius, or the risk which GenAI poses. So there are 3 important parameters which we generally look at. The first is, what is the importance of my data? What is important data we have? That is the biggest blind spot we see today in organizations. People don't know. Organizations don't know that where their sensitive data resides. That is the first point. The second is access control. Whether we do have proper access controls available on the data, we do have access controls or perimeter, identity, networks, all layers are protected. But the most important thing which we are trying to protect, whether it is controlled properly or not. That is the second aspect. The third is usage. Sensitivity is fine, access control is fine. What are the usage pattern of my data in my organization? Whether my sensitive data is being used properly, legitimately or illegitimately. All these 3 things create a big context for you to take informed decisions on the data protection. And when you protect data, it's not just for GenAI, but overall data hygiene is maintained. Your overall data protection practice become much more strengthened in the organization. So we'll talk about one by one on these points. The first is importance. Importance means you need to have visibility across your environment on different platforms like SharePoint, OneDrive, or different SaaS applications could be there, that what all type of data is lying. And from that data, what data is sensitive for you. So it could be, sensitivity could be measured in different ways for different departments or different organizations based on the uniqueness of data you want to search. So across platforms, you should have that visibility, that how much data is exposed, how much total data I have, how much sensitive data is overexposed in my organization across platforms. Then the important piece which comes in, from that sensitive information, how would you segregate different data types? Because each organization, each company would have different business models. They operate in different industries. So for that, we have geography-based, industry-based, different verticals and policies through which you can simply identify what type of data is lying where and how much sensitive data is overexposed in my organization. That is a very critical information to gather and to work upon, because this is the core area where everyone wants to work but generally ignored. Yeah. Now, the other piece which we want to talk about is access control. So I already mentioned, access control is something which everyone wants to do but generally ignored, especially on the data side of it. That is the crown jewel we are trying to protect. But at the same time, we tend to apply access control on different layers. But because it's difficult to have proper access control on data, we ignore it. So we have certain examples going forward. So you can see in this particular example, and this is, by the way, from one of our customers, we have anonymized certain information on this. Entire DocuSign folder open to internet, public link, full of documents signed by top executives. So you can see there will be a lot of confidential information which is publicly available, which can be accessed through links by anyone on the internet. And this is something which we have come across during our risk assessments, just like Mahesh mentioned. And similar, we have different samples like, drug information, formulas for drug from a healthcare company. We have got this information that you can see everyone in the organization can have full control on that particular formula as well. Similarly, there are different examples from different industries and different verticals where we have performed risk assessments. And these are eye-openers for the organizations and help them to strengthen their overall data security practice.
So patient biopsy reports,
so
pharma information.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Good.
Now the third piece is usage. And why usage is important? Because till the time you are not monitoring what is happening to your data, you can't take actions, you can't analyze what is suspicious, what is legitimate, right? Because we at Varonis actually monitors each and every file touch, so we know that what is normal and what is abnormal. So with this, we'll try to explain this with an example. You can see we are monitoring each identity within your environment, that how that identity is behaving. And in this example, you can see a service account, a backup service account, was accessing a folder which it never accessed before, which contained GDPR data. So we could analyze that why a service account will go and open a folder which contains GDPR data. And we were able to alert the team. We were able to remediate that as well. And we were also able to, give complete analysis from our IR teams from the back end of our, top analysts. At the same time, all these files, we could also mention that what all files were impacted. That is the biggest USP here, that what exactly got impacted. For a breach, you should know that what data was impacted, what events were done on that particular data. So we were able to capture everything, and we can drill down all those files which were impacted during that particular breach. Yeah.
So backup service account requires access for all files, right? But how many of the organizations are looking at what permissions does a backup service account need? Does it need modification rights? So the example that Akshay just mentioned, it doesn't need modification rights, right? It has to read a file, back it up. But in this case, we actually saw this particular file modifying files, it's a ransomware attack, modifying files in a short duration and encrypting it. So we were able to alert based on how information was accessed. We were able to understand that there is a deviation with the way the file is being accessed by an account, alert and contain this behavior by locking this account temporarily. So now let's look at how to automate this blast radius reduction. This is there for every organization. We talked about the importance of organizations knowing what their blast radius is. But how do they automate reduction of blast radius and have constant visibility in how this blast radius is getting reduced? Let's go through some important steps. And this is what we do when we actually perform assessments, right? So first, I think Akshay has actually touched upon it. What data is important, where all is it residing? So when you're looking at a tool to do this, two things are important. How much of them can be automated, and how does it ensure that it's not creating false positives or false negatives? Data and how can it be customized for your specific organization and scale to the data volumes that you're having? That's very, very critical. So, this is a simple example. In the slide you could see driver's license, passport numbers, etc. But just not that. We also are able to tell that this information is overexposed, because the moment you get visibility, the organizations have even more accountability to go and fix these issues, because they now at least have the visibility about what data is important, right? So we give that exposure. Now let's talk about, and these are some of the predefined policies that we have, completely customizable. It also asks for DPDP. We can look at specific, India-specific PI information that's already there within the product. Now let's look at how to reduce this blast radius. So let's take an example of a file which has got about 157,000 records. So when organizations are looking at reducing the blast radius, what to focus, because it's almost impossible to do this for all data that they have, because data volumes are huge. So what is the data that is of most interest that you know, for which you need to know what the blast radius is, right? Let's take regulatory information as an example. So there is a file which has got about 157,000 sensitive records in it, which means it's a very, very important file, very critical file. And this is the permission exposure that we see for that particular file in the data store where is it residing, right? Now the organization can say that I don't want this to be shared to public. I don't want this to be shared to everybody within the organization. At the same time, I need to ensure that when I remove this access, I don't disrupt business, because if any user in the organization is accessing this file because of org-wide exposure, and if you go and revoke it, that user's access to that file will be disrupted, right? He won't get access, and there'll be service tickets. Organizations need to find a way to manage it. So if there is a way for organizations to automatically understand who are the users who are accessing that file through that permission, create a separate group for them, and then revoke access, which is what we do. So what we do, we know that this file is exposed. Now the organization says, I don't want public and org-wide exposure for all users. Automatically, through predefined, the bots that we have, these are some of the, we call it as robots, that we have, which goes and performs this blast radius reduction automatically. Some quick low-hanging fruits that you probably can look at is stale data that is exposed externally. Nobody is accessing that data from external domain, but you're sharing that data to external users. Any collaborative link that is shared to public or external users. Any sensitive information shared with everybody in the organization. So state permissions, you've given full permissions for users, but people are only reading that file. They're not doing any modifications. So these are some low-hanging fruits that can be easily leveraged to go and reduce the blast radius for organizations. And these robots are there within the platform itself. And the last part, so now organizations reach a state where if a user credential is compromised, the damage is limited because that user is not having access to all information. That user is only having access to information that he is supposed to have, right? So now what happens if this user becomes malicious or if the user's credentials get compromised? That's where tracking information usage will help organizations significantly. So let's take an example. Amy Johnson is a user. So we understand that she typically works from a device, logs in from US as a geography. She behaves like other marketing executives because we do peer baselining also. She normally accesses about 10 to 15 documents in a day, and this is the work time. So we learn over a period of time that this is her behavior, and we also learn what the peer behavior is. Now, suddenly if we see that this particular user is logging from a new device, it's a red flag. We also see that she's logging from a geolocation where she normally doesn't log in. She's not behaving like other peers. She's accessing a lot of files, deleting a lot of files. So all these are anomalies that gets collated. We combine all these events over a period of time and infer that probably this could be a credential compromise. We not only tell this through our console, there's going to be a team of IR specialists who are going to look at the customer tenant if they want us to do it. And we sign up an SLA that within 30 minutes, any critical incident that we see or activity that we see is reported, and we work with the customer to contain that also. So we truly believe if organizations monitor data usage patterns, they'll be able to predict a lot of threats, because the way I would engage with data at Varonis is going to be drastically different if my credentials are with a hacker or used by a malware. And this is just a case study. Again, this was for a large organization, but we had a very defined scope. The scope was they only wanted this blast radius reduction to start with for critical information. So we identified that there are about 1,000 files which had those critical informations. 1 million files, not 1,000 files. 1 million files with critical information, which is like PII. Out of that, 57,000 files were exposed. So we agreed that we have to reduce the exposure, and within 30 days, we were able to reduce that exposure based on what was agreed with the customer. And the best part was there was no tickets opened. Operationally, we didn't create any impact just because of the way we reduced the blast radius. So we have done this for over 19 years, and we can come up and help customers identify what to focus and how to actually minimize risk within a very short span of short duration.
Yeah, so, whatever we have spoken about, we spoke about sensitivity, activity, permission management, etc. But before that, Varonis itself has been recognized in multiple, sectors by Gartner. It is like we are the top choice within the DSPM quadrant. We are there in the insider risk management as a top choice. We are also in the file analysis and file activity monitoring, because these are some of the components which we do within the Varonis platform. And this organization is not a new organization within India. We have we have established our operations 3 years back, but yes, as a foundation, we are founded in 2005, so it's a 20-year-old company, already serving around 8,000 plus customers globally. So from that perspective, we have enough experience on the data security market, and we understand that how important it is to secure data and how it is done within the organizations. Now, before we wrap up, just wanted to summarize that from a Varonis standpoint, discovery of sensitive information, permissions, and everything is very important. But the most important thing is completeness of scans, because till the time we can't complete and do scans properly, we will not be able to identify sensitive data. So our scanning capability is very efficient. We do petabyte level of scanning within quick succession of time. So organizations are always ahead of time when they scan and tend to scan sensitive information. The other important thing is contextual building. So to take informed decisions, you should have optimum context available against any scan. So with permission mapping, with labeling information, with having stale data information available, you have complete context available to take next actions on that discovered information. The third and the most important thing is the scans are current. Because we are monitoring each and every possible file touch happening on your data stores, our scans are always current. That means if a user touches a file, the moment it touches, our system will scan that file and see whether any changes are happening to that file or not. And respectively, it will change the classification of that file. So in these 3 ways, we do complete scanning, we build complete context, and our scans remain always current. This is the USP which Varonis brings in on the table when we do our deployments within the environment, and customers are always happy around it. Now, whatever examples we showcase today, we are glad that we got this opportunity, but we also want to interact. And if you really want to do similar assessments within your organizations, we are happy to help. And if you have any further questions, we are there to help you out. And we can definitely give you assistance in doing similar type of assessment and give you reports which can definitely be valuable for you within your organizations. So thank you very much, and we appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for your time. I mean, we are here, and if there are any questions, we are happy to answer them. Just a video, please. Otherwise, my marketing team.
But I need you both to remain here with us. Maybe on the side, or however.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Akshay, and thank you so much to you, Mr. Maheshwaran. I request you to join me on stage so we can have the next giveaway for the Wheel of Fortune. Can we have it on the screen, please, very quickly? Can we have the Wheel of Fortune? All right, there we go. And let's go. Let's spin the wheel. Up next, our giveaway is an Amazon Alexa. And let's see who is the lucky winner.
Wow.
Okay. Mr. Rohit Kachru, can we have you on stage with us? Please join us on stage. अरे हमारी audience तो बहुत ही ठंडी हो गई. Let's please give a big cheer. Thank you.
Sir, Destiny, look at this. Look at this. Destiny, I'm just...
Congratulations to you. Let's quickly have a photograph.
Congratulations.
आप इधर आ जाइए. हाँ. Let him be in the center. Okay, right after this, you can take out your phones. We are going to scan the barcode and continue with our quiz questions.
100% Destiny.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. And can we have the quiz questions? Can we have the barcode on the screen, please? I will move away. जल्दी से scan कर लीजिए. We have to get on to our next session. We have about 15 seconds to answer the question. All right, in the meantime, I would like to introduce our next speaker for the evening. Can we have on stage Mr. Ashwin Mittal, Regional Sales Manager, India and SAARC. Can we please have you joining us on the stage? Mr. Mittal, and can we please have a round of applause as he joins us on stage? Right after you have finished answering the questions. Mr. Mittal, a warm welcome to you.
Thank you.
And I think we're done with the questions. Everybody, thank you for putting in the answers, and let's get on with our next topic, which is file-based attack protection. Over to you, sir. I request everyone to please, everyone eyes on the stage. Thank you.
Am I audible? Pakka, piche bhi. People are not able to hear me, right? Bhai, volume badha do. Hi everyone, good evening. Okay, so I'm very happy to see that we have so many speakers talking about files today. I saw a very beautiful presentation by Vanonis where they were talking about deep dive into what kind of data and that how huge the data is and how huge the number of files have grown in the organization. So today what I'm going to talk about is taking a one step beyond and talking about data sanitization, the file sanitization. How many of you have done any file sanitization beyond AV scanning? I believe we have a lot of network security deployed at our systems, right? We have a lot of application security deployed at our infrastructure. What is the data sanitization or the file sanitization? What do we put for that? I would like to listen some answers. Anyone? Okay, let me take you through then. So first of all, let me introduce, we are OffSWAT. We are a 22 years old organization and we are here to provide security for critical infrastructure. Our mission is to provide you security for both critical infrastructure at the IT as well as OT level. We have a motto which we call as trust no file and trust no device. Our idea is that any file coming to the organization should not be trusted and any device which is entering into the organization should not be trusted. As I said, it's a 20 years old organization. We have been there incepted in 2002 and now we have entered 2024 and in India we have been there since last 4 years. So let me talk about what is happening on the file front. This is the data which we received from DSCI India and this is purely India based data. Okay, so you will see that the top 3 attacks, which is the ransomware, the cryptography and the adware attacks. These are the primary attacks and constitute almost 90 to 95% of the attack vectors right now present in India. And believe me, again 95% of these attacks are either through emails or file-based attacks. This is just a small footprint of how these file-based attacks and what are the kind of file-based attacks which are in spread right now. This is just a small thing. What I would actually want to project here is the way in which it spreads. So you will see that most of these attacks, the file-based attacks, are spread through emails. Again, 80% to 90% of these attacks of files are spread through emails. Another form of attack, the dark race ransomware, this was also an attack spread through either a download or a crack. Again, downloads through proxies. Yet still these attacks were able to, or these ransomwares were able to reach to the endpoint. So what we do at OffSWAT is we protect or we sanitize your files entering through any ingress channel, be it email, be it your portals, be it your FTP servers, or even if it is a removable media. So these are the only 4 channels through which anyone can bring files into your system, right? And what we are doing is we are ensuring that we at the gateway itself are going to protect your files from malware. This is the trust no device motto that we talk about. So we do not trust any device. We have been pioneers in giving you the compliance and the posture check for all your devices that are present in your infrastructure. So we have been there since 2005. We created the OSS framework on which almost all the zero trust organizations are working. So here, I'll just take 1 minute on this particular slide. So when we are talking about, I asked you a question in the beginning of my presentation. What are we doing for file sanitization for our organization? Typically what we have seen is we are only doing an AV scan, or maybe we have an ATP installed for us, right? That's what we typically do. Now what is the challenge in what we are doing for the files? The files are, the signature base available with any AV engine has only 40 to 45% of efficacy. Beyond that, even if a signature is identified, how many attacks are there which are signature based? In today's world, we have rarely seen attacks being done on which can be identified using signatures, right? So we are providing a solution which has not just 1 or 2 or 4 or 5, but 30 AV engines. We have 30 plus AV engines, and we are providing you a detection through these 30 plus AV engines. Adding to that, the more important thing for how do you address the zero-day attacks? We have a technology called content disarm and reconstruction. What we are doing in that content disarm and reconstruction is we are breaking the file into multiple components. So for example, I'll take an example of a Word file. We all have seen Word files, right? We've all seen PDFs. What does that contain? Text, images, URLs, macros, or maybe OLEs, CVEs. While we are using the CDR technology, we break it into each of these components and then scan these components individually, and we can remove any active component. So eventually, any attack which is going to come has to have an active component in it, right? And we can completely remove that active component from any file and reconstruct it into the same format without changing the format and sending it to the user. So what did I just do? Even if we are scanning through an AV, what happens is either we block the file or we pass the file. In this case, I am cleaning the file and sending it across to you. So the file which you actually wanted is still being received, but in a sanitized format, right? I will also show you how this CDR technology works. And the beauty is that even if you have a file within a file and a file further within that file, it will go deeper to that level and scan for that particular malware even there. So it's not just restricted on the front file side only. Then we have additional 4 more technologies. Threat intel is everyone is aware of what threat intel can bring on to the table. We have an emulative sandbox with us. Now what does that sandbox does is it removes the usage of VM-based sandboxing. When we have to run VM in an environment, how many VMs we are going to run? Every organization has at least 10 to 15 versions of maybe Windows and Linux and Mac, right? So if we are going to check the files on each of these versions, it's going to take a lot of time. Whereas this particular solution is going to just emulate that process and check everything around that. And lastly, but not the least, the file-based vulnerability and the DLP solution, which is network-based. So what are the advantages that we are getting? We are getting support for more than 150 plus file types, providing comprehensive email security. So how OffSWAT has worked on is providing email security, your storage-based sanitization. We can talk about your SFTP sanitization, files coming through SFTP channel. We can talk about removable media security and software supply chain security. With this, I would actually like to showcase what I've just talked about on how we are going to address a password protected file which has been sent over an email. Can we scan any password protected file on an email? Has anyone ever received a password protected file on an email? Yes or no? Do we get a scan out of that? Yes? No. We can't scan a password protected file because it's encrypted, right? So I'm just taking you through the demo how we can actually scan a password protected file as well. volume.
Hello. Today, I'd like to introduce you to how the OPSWAT email security is handling password
Volume band
protected
kar do, volume
attachments.
band kar do. So this is our dashboard basically, and it is showing that now this is the email that we are creating to send a password protected file. This is the content which has been written. You will see that here we have the attachment which we are sending across along with it. Okay, thanks for the rewind. So this is the zip file which has been sent, which is password protected, sent to a good guy @opswat.com. We are going to send the mail. We will just check it in the audit trail that whether the mail has been sent and received or not. We will observe that the mail was sent and it was blocked. So what we have just done is that any attachment which is received, which is password protected, is blocked by OPSWAT at its own center, and the user has received an email which says that this is you have received a password protected attachment, and if you want to see that attachment, you will have to enter the password. The guy clicks on the link, which will redirect to our server, where we are going to check the file for its sanity. And once he enters the password here, now the scan starts. A notification will be sent to the user that the file has been scanned. If the file is clean, he can refresh and he'll receive the email. If the file is not clean, he will receive a notification that the file is not clean and therefore it has been blocked. Right? So eventually what we have just achieved is a simplistic manner of sanitizing a password protected file. This is just the dashboard showing that since there was no threat identified, we were able to send the file as it is. Now I'm going to show you a demo of how the content disarm and reconstruction is going to work. So you will see that this is a typical Word file that we have, right? This Word file will have text, this will have images, this will have macros, it will have OLEs and so on and so forth. So just imagine that you have received a file on your email or maybe on your portal. So let's assume that we are talking about Amazon today, okay? In Amazon, I have to just upload my product. What do? I put in all the details of my product and I upload the picture of my product, correct? So that's going on the portal. Now what does Amazon do about that? That file is going as a JPEG. They think it's a clean file, right? What if there is a steganographic source code attached behind it? Nobody is looking into that. Nobody is seeing that what is further attached to that JPEG file. Is there anything which has got crawled into that JPEG and attached and embedded itself into that? Nobody is really seeing that. And that's a real-time scenario. We do a lot of KYCs, e-KYCs being done. The file is getting uploaded to the portal, and from there it is going straight away to the storage. So what this particular thing CDR is doing is, it is removing all the active component behind it and only sending the passive or this JPEG file which is required on that portal. So what has happened, even if you run it through an APT, it will not run for the reason that it is just a JPEG for it, correct? Whereas there is something embedded within that file. So as a result, what we are able to achieve is a clean sanitized file without any malware and a 0-day. So that's it from my side. If there are any questions around that, I'm here to answer. Is that it? We are using a mix of so many technologies at the same time, and that makes us unique. And still maintaining the performance levels. So just imagine a 10 to 15 MB mail that you receive. How much time does it need for a 30 AV engines and a CDR and sandboxing all running together? If it's less than a second, I think that's a good performance that we're able to achieve with so many things running and doing the sanitization at the same time, right? Sorry, come again? So the mail doesn't enter to your endpoint. It enters only to the. Sir, so the mail reaches your SMTP server. From there, it gets relayed to us, and then we clean using all these technologies, and then send it back to your SMTP server, and it sends to the end user. So the idea is that mail should not reach your endpoint before sanitization. If it has already reached your endpoint, then the damage is already done. Correct? Because there are viruses which are EDR evasive as well, right? They will not even run on a sandbox. What do you do about that? So we have to protect them at the perimeter level itself, at the gateway level itself. Yes. Sir, that's exactly what I said. If the virus is EDR evasive, what do you do about that? If it is virus EDR evasive, your EDR will not even come to know. It will not get activated itself, right?
You mean to say there are viruses which is even
Yes.
EDR cannot detect it?
Yes.
Like,
Because
would it be a zero-day attack or something, a specific code which is not capable by EDR?
so basically they are EDR evasive viruses. They know when to get activated and when not to get activated.
Okay.
There are various techniques through which they can evade any detection of EDR or even sandbox for that matter.
That is fine.
Yeah? Okay, thank you so much everyone. Yeah. Sir, I'm sorry, I'm not able to hear you.
Can we have the mic
Yeah.
being passed over there very quickly?
So,
Just one last question, please. Yes.
Hi, Ashwin. So basically, Ashwin, with OpSWAT solution, if some customer deploy, so as you said that you have lots and lots of AV engines which is backing up the solution. So can we say that the endpoint protection or email protection is not being needed when somebody is using this solution?
No, that is not the correct answer. So eventually, the EDR or the endpoint solutions are not required only for the email. Am I right? The user might be using his endpoint for multiple other purposes as well. What we are saying is that the file entering to your infrastructure, for your corporate infrastructure, has to be safeguarded. So supposedly, I have created a file that still needs to be checked by the EDR, right? If I have something to send, if I'm downloading something which is not being scanned, that still needs to be protected through EDR.
So usually, the EDR solution itself claim that they do scan and they do all those things.
They definitely do.
So somehow, what add-on things which your solution is bringing, so that a customer think on a additional investment with respect to this?
So EDR is only providing you security on endpoint. What we are missing out is that once the file has reached the endpoint, can anyone say that yes, the file can spread across in the network at least before even being opened? Am I right? If I have downloaded an email on my Outlook, now that file can spread within the network. Correct? True. Now, if there is anything which is not EDR, which does not have an EDR, does it get an easy way to get out and take away the data and create a havoc? So what I'm saying is that the files which are entering into your corporate has to be protected at the base, at the perimeter level itself. This is the value add that you're getting. I just said, for example, the e-commerce websites. What will an EDR do over there? The file which is getting uploaded is not being scanned for anyone, right? EDR is not going to scan for that. So we have to see that what is coming into the corporate or into the company. EDR is more useful when it has to go out from the company. And yes, if you have certain files which you are getting, definitely yes. And EDR has multiple other purposes as well. I think a lot of EDRs have DLPs and other solutions also integrated into it. Am I right?
Thanks.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ashwin, for your valuable time
one last
for
question.
conducting this session for us. I'm so sorry we will not be able to take any more questions. I'm really sorry
I'll
about
answer
that.
you
We will
personally.
have to we will have to move on, keeping the time constraint in mind. But thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank
And I request you to please have a seat. Can we please have a round of applause for Mr.
Thank you.
Mittal for his presentation. Very quickly, quiz questions on the screen. We have 2 questions. I love how the audience has become so prompt. They're ready with their phone to scan the barcode. Love the energy. Thank you, everyone. You've got your questions on your phone screen. Let's give you 15 seconds. Let's answer the questions and move on to our next roundup of what we're going to have. All right. And I'm going to do a little countdown over here. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Thank you, everybody. Next up, we have something very, very special. I really would love for all of you to be with us. Elite CISO's platform has come forward for the cause of supporting Vrindavan widow mothers, and for the same, we have collaborated with Hiranmoy India Foundation, who have been supporting more than 250 mothers since last 5 years by providing them nutritious food and essentials. This is a cause that we are supporting. I would quickly like to take you through a video for this foundation. Can we have the video, please?
20,000 widow mothers abandoned by their family members are leading a very tough life in Vrindavan. Every day is a struggle for them, begging for food, looking for accommodation, sanitation. We at Hiranmoy India Foundation have been helping 220 widow mothers of Radhakund area by providing nutritious food, providing clothes, essential items of daily use, medicine, blankets, cooler, fans, etc. since last 5 years on regular basis. But with limited resources and help from a few dedicated donors, it's still a constant fight for resources. Hence, with a wider ring of donors, we can further strengthen our charitable endeavor and extend our love and care to still more needy widow mothers.
अभी आपको इमीडिएटली इस जगह के लिए किस चीज़ की हेल्प चाहिए?
सर इमीडिएटली फूड का जो रिक्वायरमेंट जो हमेशा रहते हैं, हर महीने रहते हैं, हमारा चिंता रहते हैं कि एक बार खाना होने के बाद दूसरे में क्या हो तो होते रहे, लेकिन इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर हम लोगों को थोड़ा सा हम लोग इसको डेवलप किया हो ताकि बेटर उनको सर्व कर सकते हो। जैसे हमें जो किचन एरिया हम लोगों ने कंप्लीट नहीं कर पा रहा हूँ। ये किचन एरिया इसमें जाली लगाना है, टेप लगाना है, थोड़ा सा सेल्फ भी बनाना है, एक लोहे का दरवाज़ा देना है ताकि हमारा किचन का सामान भी यहाँ रख सकता हूँ और वहाँ स्टाफ भी अच्छी तरह से किचन का जो दे कैन वर्क हियर प्रॉपरली। दूसरा है ये जो टॉयलेट ब्लॉक हम लोगों ने मिला है, किसी एक कंपनी ने हमें प्रॉमिस किया था दे विल सपोर्ट जस्ट कम्प्लीटली कंस्ट्रक्शन ऑफ दैट, तो उन्होंने थोड़ा सा हाफ में अबैंडन किया है, तो उन्होंने छोड़ दिया, उसका कंप्लीट करना है। बहुत सारी माता लोग होते हैं ना, दे नीड ना स्पेस फॉर ना वॉशरूम और इसलिए उसको कंप्लीट करना है। फिर धूप में जब होते हैं ना, धूप में जब खाना हम लोग परोसते हैं ना, तो इस एरिया पे तो तिरपाल लगाना है।
By donating at the link given below, the Hiranmoy India Foundation, PTM bank account.
I would like to welcome on stage Mr. Pranav Sekia, founder of Hiranmoy India Foundation. A warm welcome to you, sir. I request you to please say a few words.
Thank you, all the members of the elite CSOs. I am very grateful to your organization, and some of your members have visited our Vrindavan widow mothers recently, and all the widow mothers are sending blessings from Vrindavan to all of you. We are taking care of 300 widow mothers by providing them nutritious food and essential items from the last 5 years. And these mothers are neglected by, they are not getting proper attention from the mainstream donors, because most of the NGO located in, most of the people, they prefer to come Delhi NCR and they never go to Vrindavan and Radhakund area. This is another 16 kilometers from main Vrindavan town, Vrindavan. So they really need, desperately need help, your help, kind. And I would like to invite to visit our mothers, and you can celebrate your birthday, marriage anniversary, or any occasion with this mother. They give a lot of blessings. Please do visit. And I have bought some leaflet also. I have kept in your lobbies. We can give you the details about our organization, or about the website, everything is there. And thank you, all of you elites members, for inviting me. Thank you. Thanks.
सर शुक्रिया आप यहाँ आए और आप बहुत कमाल का काम कर रहे हैं.
Thank you, sir.
I wish कि आप लगातार ये काम करते रहें और हम सबकी तरफ से पूरी कोशिश रहेगी कि हमसे जो भी हो सकेगा, definitely we would like to contribute towards the noble cause जिसमें आप 5 साल से लगे हुए हैं. Thank you so much. हम सबकी तरफ से आपको बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया for doing this for the society. It really means a lot.
Thank you.
I would like to. Would you like to?
Yeah, I wanted to say something. So Pranav ji actually is by profession, I think everybody is okay with Hindi, right? So Pranav ji, professionally, he is a journalist. He works with one of the leading media business house. And he told me the story, I'll not take much of a time. He went to Vrindavan during the COVID because he had the press pass. और वहाँ पे एक माता को उन्होंने खाना खाते हुए देखा कूड़े से निकाल के. So उन्होंने 100 रुपए दिए कि नहीं आप कूड़े से खाना मत खाओ. And then she sarcastically replied कि आज तो तुम दे रहे हो कल का क्या होगा, right? And from there he started this journey alone. हमने जो भी शेड देखा वो सारा उन्होंने अपने contribution से किया. वो पूरा गड्ढा था, उसको fill करके और वो सारे माताओं को देते हैं. Some of us have been able to go there और इतना blessing देते हैं वो माता. कुछ माताएं जितना बड़ा ये स्टेज है इसको अगर 4 पार्ट में डिवाइड करें, इतने बड़े रूम में रहते हैं. अंधेरा रूम है, कुछ भी नहीं है वहाँ पे. बट अगर आप उनका भगवान का जो घर है जो उन्होंने बनाया, जिसकी वो दिन रात पूजा करते हैं, इट इज़ सो ब्यूटीफुली डेकोरेटेड, शायद हमारे घर का मंदिर भी नहीं होगा. दे आर एक्चुअली कृष्ण की जो गोपियाँ हैं, दे आर एक्चुअली दैट. वो दिन रात पूजा करते हैं, उनके पास खुद खाने को नहीं है बट मंदिर सजा के रखा है. एंड हम जो भी चीज़ें फेंक देते हैं घर से, हम एक चम्मच ग्लास कुछ भी फेंक देते हैं बिकॉज अब वो पुराना हो गया है. They actually take it with lot of respect and with lot of gratitude. So, you know, Vikas has said that in the starting that we connect, collaborate and celebrate. But with that, from 2024 and 25, we are starting to, you know, also contribute. And this is Elite Donate is an initiative towards that, and for which we have tied up with Hiranmoy. We are, you know, trying to give whatever from our side. We are making a small contribution of 51,000 today. But for making that shed, which is shown, that requires about 4 lakh rupees. So we have kept some leaflet on the registration counter. It's completely voluntarily. You can contribute, even 50 rupees is not less. And whatever you can do, you'll get a lot of blessings. That's what I wanted to say. And thank you so much for doing it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I would like to request the members to please join us on stage to hand over. Should we do the handing over right now?
We'll do that.
We'll do it later?
We forgot the checkbook. We'll do that.
Okay. Okay.
GPay word, right?
Definitely,
We will do
definitely.
that, right.
Great. Thank you so much.
I just wanted to call Manohar and Vivek also. Please. Last week, Manohar, Vivek, I could get that, you know, opportunity to go and visit the ashram, and we have taken that vow to visit that place more and more and do whatever we can do. Humble request, anything which you want to do for them, please do that. They'll be very, very grateful. Some of them have their kids staying abroad, living very, very lavish life, but those mothers' eyes are, you know, just waiting for their son to arrive. So, and they look to us like their own son. So, yeah, that's
wonderful. Can we have the scanner on the screen, please? In the meantime, can we keep the scanner on the screen? Thank you.
I just want to say one thing. often in such causes, we get worried about the genuineness of the cause or the agency involved. In this case, we have actually gone there and we have seen it. So you can be sure about the genuinity of the organization. And therefore, please, and second point is, we often know about many such cases, many such, people who are living in very poor conditions. But till the time you go and see there, it doesn't really hit you that hard. Seeing it on the screen and seeing it there are two completely different things. At least it opened my eyes. So I really urge you all, please do whatever you can. Thank you.
Thank you. And don't worry about the scanner here. There are leaflets on the registration desk. You can go and pick up there.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. Thank you. Please have a seat. So we can still keep the scanner on the screen. We can let it be on. I'll let you know when to take it off. आप प्लीज लगा के रखिए थोड़ी देर और स्कैनर स्क्रीन पर. With this, ladies and gentlemen, we are ready for our first panel discussion. We are scheduled for an in-depth discussion on the topic how enterprises can harness AI to strengthen cyber security. In the meantime, can we have the setup on the stage, please? Can we have the chairs coming onto the stage while I will be introducing our wonderful panel for today? Can we please set up on stage? Let me begin with introducing our wonderful panelists for the evening. Can I request on stage Mr. Ashish Khanna, Global CISO and Head IT, EvalueServe. Can we please have a round of applause and can we keep cheering up for all our panelists as they take stage? It's going to be a wonderful discussion. Our next panelist, Mr. Charanjit Bhatia, Head Cybersecurity COE, Bata Brands SA. Can we have you on stage with us, sir? A warm welcome to you. Next we have Mr. Faizul Mufti, Vice President Cyber Defense Leader, Genpact. Our first three panelists, I request you all to please have a seat. Next, I would like to invite on stage Mr. Rajesh Kumar, SVP and CISO at Excel Services Limited. Sir, can we have you on stage with us, please? Guys, can we have a round of applause for our panelists as they take stage for the first panel discussion of our event today? You can all have a seat. Next, I would like to invite Mr. Subhrangshu Mukherjee, RSD North and East, CrowdStrike. He's here with us. Mr. Mukherjee? Oh, all right. And finally, can I have on stage Mr. Upendra Singh, Global Head, Security, Engineering and Architecture, HCL Tech. That would be our final panelist for the day. And finally, as our panelists make it to the stage, I would like to introduce our moderator for the first panel. Can we have on stage Commander Sanjeev Singh, CISO and DPO at Birlasoft. Can we please give a huge round of applause for our first panel with the moderator? I request you all to please have a seat. And with this, I hand over to our moderator for the evening.
Good evening, everyone. Great to be here. It's been an exciting event so far, lots of wonderful things. We've been hearing all AI since morning, or rather afternoon. And here we are with some more talk on AI. But I just want to quickly introduce the topic. It's about harnessing AI. So while you have listened to all the good side of AI as to how AI will change the world and cyber defense, etc., I've got a great panel here, and we are going to explore how. And look at some fun side of things, right? AI is transformative, we all know that, so we'll not get into it. And we know that it does impact all of us as cyber defenders. We also know that it's starting to impact on the attacker side also. If you've looked at the Gartner hype cycle on AI recently, it shows AI right at the peak. And we all know what comes after that. So it's a trough of disillusionment in Gartner hype cycles. So we are going to go through that over the next 6 months to maybe a year. But while we do that, we also need to use experts like we have on the panel to see how we can best use AI for our benefit in the meantime. Also, just as a context, there's a lot of FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt being put on all our minds, saying attackers are using AI, so defenders must use AI. Well, as we speak today, that's not really true. There have been, in the recent past, there have been reports from leading organizations like IBM, Microsoft, etc., which say in their opinion, they have not seen attackers literally using AI to attack yet. It'll probably happen in future. But if you think about it, attackers don't need to do that. I mean, they just can steal our passwords and still hack us, right? Why do they have to go and do the hard work? They can still do the easy work, the lazy work, and still get in. So something that we'll explore in this panel is risks of AI and try and cut through some of the noise. So with that, without wasting too much time, let me start with the first question. And we will use this as an LLM, right? So I'm the prompt, they are going to be the LLMs. And let's see, hopefully we'll get some great answers. So the first question is, according to you, what's the area of function that we will see maximum benefit of GenAI from? Especially from Defender's security, from Defender's perspective, and this could be like security operations, threat hunting. That's one area we have not seen many vendors talking about, right? Threat intelligence, or anything else that you feel is going to be the most impactful for us as cyber defenders. And let me start from my right.
So, thank you. In my opinion, security operations and threat hunting, I think they're the top one, which will harness the power of these LLM, these AI. Because right now, what is the biggest challenge? The biggest challenge is that we are sitting on the heap of data. I mean, there is a colossal data which we get in the form of signals from multiple sources. I mean, we got 40, 50 security controls covering different areas, and then analyzing all that. Now, the alert fatigue is the biggest challenge in a SOC. How to analyze that faster, get the more, accurate, high fidelity alert, which can be converted into an incident. There, these GenAI can play a very, pivotal role. Second is the area is of incident, even the triaging, right? There, the team, the analyst spends a time in triaging, and that can be cut drastically. It can be automatically done. And third is about the incident response. Now, incident response, again, most organizations, I mean, they have static IRPs, which they follow. If something goes, slightly different than that, there will be different outcome from different SOC analysts, right? Because some will be able to do justice and analyze it properly. Some may not be able to do that justice. With this, I think there will be a dynamic IRPs can be created, and they can follow. There will be standardization of incident response. So there will be the mean time to respond will drastically come down.
Great, thanks. How about you, Faisal? What do you think?
Yeah, thank you. I think I echo the thoughts, but I just want to also kind of emphasize that we talk about defense with right level of speed as an outcome for analysis. I think that's going to be paramount for the identification of how AI is being adopted by defenders, right? You highlighted rightly that it is at the peak right now in terms of how the researchers are looking at AI adoption. For defenders to look at consuming AI into their operations from a cyber defense perspective, it is going to kind of start from data enrichment capabilities that we get, we introduce. Then it's also going to be talking about how effectively can the business intelligence be driven by contextualized amount of information coming in from that analysis of data. And then the last piece from my perspective would be, are there responses possible in terms of reacting to what has been analyzed? The importance of timely detection and timely response plays a most pivotal role when we are defending, right? Fighting the battle against the ghosts. So yeah, for me, that is most predominant factor today. And we don't see the outcomes clearly coming out clearly right now, but I think we have heard since morning, since afternoon today, every vendor is coming out and helping us in that direction. So we look forward, I think, as practitioners to see how we can deploy it in our ecosystem.
Thanks. So I'm hearing speed and enrichment, two major themes. How about you, Rajesh?
Good evening, everyone. Thanks, Commander. I think, I'm actually wondering what will happen by the time it reaches to the...
We'll change the question.
But I largely echo what both Upendra and Faisal was talking about. Threat intel, speed, agility, which was something we know. Defenders were always challenged, defenders were always given bad, name, that they, identify something like, days and months, and so that should help. But I think I also want to add on to that, which is slightly cyber's larger perspective of risk, which is, third-party risk, insider risk, and various other risks. Identification of those, I think there are a number of use cases that can be built up that we can actually extend AI from the defender side, from the risk, protection side on those. For example, in TPRM, third-party risk, there are regulations which are coming out. It is practically impossible for the third-party risk assessor to look at all of those and give a meaningful the way our ecosystems are actually expanding. So when you look at that and you have some of these use cases through AI built in, which can scan some of the publicly available data as well as your own historical data and come out with those risks, very specific, very pertinent to your organization, is another area that I think can be used very, very effectively. Insider threat, behavior pattern of the end users within the organizations. We take days and days to basically put up a heat map of users. Now it should be like in seconds. People should be on real time able to identify how the behavior can impact your organization and data assessment that they are doing. So maybe those two to add to.
Great, and I think that's a great one, risk identification. Though I know the current gen LLMs, which are more generic in nature, and risk is more about context of the organization, because your risk would be very different from my risk and different from Ashish's risk. So I don't know whether GenAI is there yet to be able to contextualize for an organization and then identify risk based on that context. But hopefully we'll see that. But it's a great use case, I feel. So what I'm hearing is SecOps, the security operations side, is going to be the biggest beneficiary, and maybe risk identification, like Rajesh said. To moving on to the next question on my left-hand side now. So there is a term called adversarial AI, where attackers or malicious actors are going to leverage the AI we deploy to cause harm to us, right? Kind of like living off the land attack, where attackers use the binaries and solutions that we already use in our environment to then run the attack. So my question to panelists on my left-hand side, adversarial AI will probably become a major attack vector as GenAI use becomes more pervasive. Do you think it's time for defenders to worry about this attack vector? And just as a context to this, if MITRE, we all know them well for their attack framework. They've released a framework for AI called Atlas. And there, if you notice, there are a few commonalities in terms of attack vectors on AI, and they are similar to the attack vector, ATT and CK. But then there is one tactic, which is attack on the AI itself, right? And this is the context of my question. And also, if you've been following recently, one researcher came out, I think they were from Microsoft, called Skeleton Key Attack, where practically all the existing LLMs, we can convince them to go beyond the boundaries of that LLM and give us responses that they were not designed to, right? So in that context, do you think adversarial AI is going to be big and something that we should start worrying about at this stage? Ashish?
No, of course. Thanks for the question. Good evening, everyone. I think it is something which is extremely important for us to start working on. I've seen a couple of Microsoft Copilot implementations recently. It started like a toy, maybe marketing had got it in the organization and people started using it. But when you started, popping question to Copilot, depending on the rights of that person on the data, it had started throwing obnoxious data, literally. If an administrator who is, logging into the machine with the Copilot installed, which has, a privileged access on file server, it can actually bring out data which, can be eye-popping for many. So I think it's extremely important that we look at adversarial AI, at a very, very preliminary stage. Look at implementation of AI responsibly. There are a lot of OEMs in the room. I would urge, that take that journey along with the organization very, very responsibly. And also, in many cases, I've recently heard that there are test happenings for even guided missiles to be launched by AI, right? And if just consider if that data get poisoned and the AI start taking that decision without human, it can be disastrous. So I think it's a very, very important thing which we should start taking cognizance of.
So we should stop saving and start enjoying life more, right? The world is ending. But very, very valid point. How about you, Charanjit? What do you think about this?
Yeah. So you rightly pointed out regarding MITRE Atlas, which is talking about a lot of things which the adversary can take and compromise from the customer side. It talks about the data poisoning part, the threat itself to the AI model, if it is not, all the due diligence is not being done. So some of the basics like the access rights, follow the list principle things, give the access to only the needed one based on the required access, role-based access, will definitely come into the picture from the defender side while doing the due diligence and ensuring the adoption for any AI model within the organization. Apart from that, there are other things also which Atlas talks about. And I think it is imperative for us as a practitioner that we also participate and we also try to learn what the framework is talking about and ensure that we have proper or adequate security weaved around our LLM or Gen AI models. So we can also think what kind of training we need to give to our persons who will be actually using the AI model. We also need to train our security personnels because it's something which is very new. And I think also the third party or the supply chain risk also significantly increases with the adversary model or the which they will be trying to attack. Nowadays, I think we are doing a lot of API integration with a lot of applications. So API security is going to be taken a deep down look of how we are sharing the API, to whom it is being shared, whether we are waiving all the security mechanisms to have the minimum permissions, and only the required data should go out. So that kind of discovery, etc., should be there as practitioners for all of us.
Thank you. Great things. But let's ask the OEM rep in this room, right? What are they doing to protect us against this adversarial AI?
Yeah, thanks, Sanjeev. I was reading somewhere, and I was rather surprised to learn that adversarial AI as an attack vector was first identified as early as 2004, when AI itself as a concept was in its infancy. Numerous papers written after that, but in the field, we've had relatively little work done on it because, developers, product companies, everyone was trying to make the model work in the first place under a variety of use cases, conditions, etc. So, and the most important phase is the training phase. That is when the data poisoning typically happens. So it is very important that at the training phase, adversarial training is also a part of that. And proper ring fences are put in terms of access, in terms of allowing the right permissions. Even if you look at the limited attacks that have been reported, they have largely been white box attacks. where the attacker has had an intimate knowledge of the system. Black box attacks are expensive, very difficult to pull off. So insider risk remains a major factor in adversarial AI propagation. Yeah.
Great, thank you. So a lot of theme I read or heard during this panel discussion was AI is in its own place, but we still need to go back to access, authorization, the spread of data, the permissions that we have given on data. Because as a user, if I have access to something, and if I'm using an AI tool, that tool will have access to that thing, right? And if I've got over-permissioned stuff, like what Ashish mentioned, an admin on a file server, there could be a data leakage inadvertently. So great thoughts. Let me move on to the third question on this. And this time, I'll be a more stricter prompt master. So short answers, please, in the interest of time. But there's an interesting one. So Gen AI is getting embedded in many security tools, and we have seen throughout the day-to-day, right? Almost every tool. If you go to the vendor booths outside, you'll see AI prominently in all those advertisements. But as defenders, now typically we have got two thought process, right? One says, let's me pick best of breed for every function, sub-function area that I need to protect. But then to get a holistic picture, you need deep integration amongst all of them. So the data lakes or the data bases for those tools are fractured, separate, right? The second thought process is on platform, and that's the theme we are seeing. We saw many presentations from various OEMs. They're all moving into a more platform-centric, more solution approach, where the individual components may not be the best of breed, but then the overall value is probably greater than the sum of parts. So how do we see Gen AI impacting that? Because Gen AI, it depends upon a data lake. The more data you feed to it, the more data you train it on, the better the responses, the better the context. So do you think Gen AI as a technology or a solution is going to affect our mindset when we think of when we are selecting our next tool?
Absolutely.
So let me start again from my right side.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, see, security is all about the context where security incident happened. And if we are using multiple products with their own Gen AI, they will have a limited view because they have view on what they see from that signal. But you have to stitch together a story. Right? For that, you need context from all those different controls so that you can build the story, how it happened, where it happened, all that. Only then you can analyze it. So I think platform is the way to go. Yeah.
Thank you. How about you, Faisal?
Yeah, I think from my personal opinion, while AI is still a hype, but certainly the use cases as we spoke and the impact, it needs to be inside a platform which can drive the outcomes because the LLMs need to look at the data and data has to be present, available for it to learn and then react and respond. So yeah, for my opinion as well, it has to be a platform in terms of data, but outcomes from security could be still best of the breed.
Thanks. How about you, Rajesh?
I think can't disagree with some of the stalwarts sitting on my right. Yes, AI and its ability to integrate with various data sets across, because at the end of the day, the data lake and security data lake, whatever we do, there are going to be disparities, there are going to be heterogeneity over there. So solutions, platformization, and ability to integrate with many of these heterogeneous environment absolutely is going to play. But at the same time, there are other elements of how easy the interface is, how good the LLMs itself is. Those elements are also going to be contributing to that. But answer, yes.
So here's just a thought to add on to it. Typically, when we integrate based on, say, API. And so you're limited by what the API exposes. No solution exposes the entire raw data. Whereas in a platform, when you run, say, an AI on a platform, the AI has got access to the entire raw data of that platform. So with that context, let me look on my left side now. How about you, Ashish? What do you think about this?
See, to an extent, I agree with Faisal that AI is still kind of maturing. But platformization is a way to go because contextualization is the key thing, visualization and contextualization. So, but I would want to put my bets with a partner who has a vision towards AI. And in that platform, I want to do that investment because at the end of the day, you can't be asking a Siri and a Alexa and a John and this thing about different things, right? So, yeah.
How about you, Chiranjit?
So my take is definitely platform OEMs will be having an edge when they are using the Gen AI itself, and it will be beneficial and boon for the customers who are actually using those things in order to get easy and quick understanding of what's going on. So that's the benefit for the customers, and it will go. So, but on the other hand, also I'm thinking from a non-platform kind of thing, because there are different LLMs which are evolving, and we never know which one will be better. So is it also like one specialized thing that I go for investment rather than an entire platform may not be also working? So we need to check this space out, because it's too early to comment as of now how the platforms will evolve. Because whenever we are talking about the platform, it should be not only specific to a specific data security part, but it will be homologous or uniformity should be there, so that it can give a very simple understanding of the complex solutions which are already there, which is being used by the enterprises.
Great, thanks. How about you, Subhranshu? What do you think? You guys are building it.
Sanjeev, no guesses for deducing that I'm a platform advocate. But honestly, even putting my CrowdSide hat aside, I feel the platform can bring tremendous value in terms of adoption of Gen AI. Because while every vendor is talking about Gen AI, not every AI is created equal. And the difference is the data that is being ingested. I mean, if I take an example closer to home, in CrowdStrike, we are analyzing and ingesting trillions of events per week. And when that rich telemetry goes in as input data, the outcomes are that much more relevant, that much more granular. So I think, yes, platformization is the way to go for me.
Great. So our panel is very, very supportive of our platform approach. But then some concerns Chiranjit brought out was also very, very valid. Which platform do you choose? Because not all platforms are created equally. Not all platforms are strong in all the sub-functions equally. So the onus is back on us as consumers and as defenders to walk in with our eyes and ears open, especially if you're selecting a platform considering the Gen AI. Something that Ashish brought out is very, very important, the vision. You need to also look at the vision of the vendor, so to say, and understand that they can be our trustworthy partners for many years to come. Because this is something, it's like a Hindu marriage, right? You walk in and walking out is very, very difficult. It's not that easy. So we as defenders have to be super careful in selecting the next products or next solutions that we are going to pick up. We got few minutes left. Are there any questions for the panel? From the audience? All right, if there are no questions, let me ask a question, one each. Answer in one sentence, right? Good prompt. One good use case as per you, either for defenders or attackers. Use case of Gen AI, either for cyber defenders or attackers.
So the incident response, which I talked about, that's a very good use case.
Excellent. And specifically there, summarization or explanation of an incident. And that's a good use case.
Yeah, I'll take an adversarial side right now. So it's more on creating those business-oriented attack scenarios and replicating it to the enterprises for more targeted and focused attacks.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Creating parsers, complex parser of integrations, and using AI or Gen AI to build those parsers, I think is a fairly use case that we have.
But in your experience, have you seen AI being able to develop complex codes yet? in my personal experience, simple codes, yes, but complex codes may not be there yet.
Definitely simple, yes. Complex, no. But simple to complex, the maturity is definitely coming in.
Yeah, it's coming. That's for sure. All right. How about you, Ashish?
Writing beautiful phishing mails.
Yeah, that's a good one. Always. Charanjit?
Maybe one of the area could be shift-left approach or DevSecOps, wherein we can see evolving things which are coming up from GenAI.
That's an awesome use case, by the way, right? If we can get better codes, because GenAI is helping write better codes to the developer, that will be a game-changing thing. How about you?
I'm going to go with analysis of user behavior. Based on historical log data, network data, system data. Is the user behaving beyond the usual pattern? Is there a lot of data transfer happening outside of non-work hours? Could AI flag that off as a possible data exfiltration attempt? So that's a use case.
But we have been using UEBA tools for quite some time, which does kind of similar. So do you think GenAI is going to improve that and take it to the next level?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's...
UEBA is still a sort of heat map that it creates. What we are talking or what he is talking is more real time when someone is trying to do that, taking action at that time.
All right, got it. All right, so thank you. I'll just quickly summarize. So the first question was about which area we will have more impact, and I think there is a consensus that security operations would be the broad area where we will have a lot of benefits, especially around speed of triaging as well as incident response, like building complex and dynamic playbooks in terms of response, as well as summarizing incident, preparing the incident report, etc. Those are good ones. The second question was around adversarial AI, where I think the common theme that came about is a lot of focus has to be on access and authorization. Before we implement these AI tools that can go and look at across our data lake or data boundary, we should be careful about how we are authorizing the permissions, the roles that we give it to them. And the last one was about the thought process, where I think we had a universal consensus on platformization is the approach. I think it will be a good music to a lot of vendors in the room. So thank you all. I thank all my panelists for wonderful insights. Great ones. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much to the entire panel. I request you all to please remain on stage. And once again, thank you for sharing your thoughts, your ideas, and your perspective. It's extremely valuable to us. I would like to request Ms. Nupur Sharma, Head Marketing, CrowdStrike, to please join me on stage to felicitate this wonderful panel. Can we please have you joining us on stage? Can we please have a round of applause for Ms. Nupur Sharma? Oh, let's have a picture. All right. Great. Here we go. It's a panel of men being felicitated by a woman. Thank you once again to our moderator for conducting it so well for all of us. And can we have one quick group photograph? You can hold them in your hand if you like, or however, whatever's comfortable. One with and one without. Itne conscious, it's okay. Thank you so much. Please have a seat. Thank you, Ms. Sharma. Thank you, gentlemen. All right. Next up, we're going to have a breather. We have a very wonderful artist joining us for a stand-up. I promise you, this is going to enthrall you and is going to leave you in splits of laughter. But before we bring her on, we're not taking a tea break. This is a quick bathroom break, stretch break. Just relax, breathe, refresh break. We will see you in 10 minutes with a stand-up act. So please join us in 10 minutes. Thank you.